Have you ever noticed someone close to you change in a way that just doesn't feel right, like they're not quite themselves anymore? Maybe they've become cold, impulsive, or distant. You tell yourself it's just stress aging or a rough patch. But what if it's something deeper, something that quietly alters not just how they think, but who they are? Today we're diving into a condition that often flies under the radar, frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. It's a silent disruptor that rarely starts with forgetfulness like Alzheimer's does. Instead, it rewires personality, language, and behavior, turning loved ones into strangers in ways that can be confusing, heartbreaking, and dangerously easy to dismiss. Welcome to Science of Wellness, where a single insight could change the trajectory of your health or someone else's. Be sure to like and subscribe if you care about staying informed, alert, and empowered. Let's get into the early warning signs of FTD and why catching them could make all the difference. What is frontotemporal dementia, TD? Frontotemporal dementia, or FTD, is a progressive brain disorder that attacks the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain. These areas are responsible for personality, language, emotional expression, and decision-making. So when they begin to deteriorate, the effects ripple out far beyond memory. It's not just about forgetting names or appointments, it's about a person's core identity gradually unraveling. Unlike Alzheimer's, FTD tends to strike earlier. We're talking about people in their late 40s to early 60s, still raising families, building careers, and enjoying what should be some of the richest years of life. That's why it's often misdiagnosed as depression, burnout, or even a midlife crisis. The behaviors don't always look medical at first, but they are. Let's explore the 10 early signs that may signal the start of FTD and why you should never ignore them. 1. Changes in appetite and eating habits. Have you noticed someone suddenly obsessed with sweets or constantly reaching for carb-heavy snacks? One of the earliest signs of FTD is a dramatic shift in eating behavior. Some people begin eating compulsively, tearing through food like they haven't eaten in days with no recognition of fullness. Others go in the opposite direction, forgetting to eat, losing interest in meals altogether. These changes aren't just quirky habits. They reflect shifts in brain function that affect impulse control and reward processing. Overeating can lead to rapid weight gain, while loss of appetite can cause unhealthy weight loss or malnutrition. If you're a caregiver, gently introducing structured meal routines, offering healthier options to satisfy cravings, and keeping portion sizes manageable can help create balance. 2. Sudden personality shifts. Imagine this. A kind, reserved man who's always kept to himself suddenly starts interrupting conversations, making crude jokes, or behaving aggressively in public. It's jarring, right? One of the most confusing and painful symptoms of FTD is a drastic change in personality. People may become rude, impulsive, emotionally detached, or socially inappropriate. They might lose empathy or say hurtful things without realizing the impact. These behaviors often feel personal, but they're not. They're neurological. Families often chalk this up to stress aging or just being in a mood. But if the shifts are persistent and feel deeply out of character, don't ignore them. Your gut may recognize the truth before your mind does. 3. Poor judgment and risky behavior. FTD often strips away our internal filter, the one that helps us think twice. Suddenly, someone who once balanced the family budget like a pro starts blowing money, falling for scams, or giving away large sums to strangers. This kind of risky financial behavior can emerge out of nowhere. People may max out credit cards, invest in obvious scams, or make careless decisions without considering the consequences. The damage can be severe, not just emotionally, but financially. Families need to act early, setting up safeguards like financial monitoring, limited account access, or even a power of attorney if needed. It's not about control, it's about protection. 4. Difficulty managing complex tasks. Has your loved one started struggling with everyday responsibilities that once came naturally, like paying bills, organizing appointments, or using basic technology? As FTD progresses, planning, multitasking, and problem-solving become overwhelming. Something as simple as programming the microwave or navigating a smartphone can become frustrating and confusing. In the workplace, even once routine projects may become too much. Mistakes increase, deadlines are missed, and they often can't explain why they're struggling. Helping them by breaking tasks into smaller, manageable steps can preserve confidence and independence, at least for a while. 5. Apathy and emotional withdrawal. Finally, one of the clearest and most heartbreaking signs of FTD is apathy, a profound emotional withdrawal from life. This isn't laziness. It's not even depression in the classic sense. It's something more vacant. Someone who once thrived on conversation, hobbies, or time with family might now sit quietly for hours, uninterested, unengaged, and emotionally flat. No joy, no sadness, just a kind of internal silence. They may stop initiating conversations or showing any emotional reactions, even to big life events. This flatness is often misunderstood as a bad mood or a lack of care, but it's the disease talking, not the person. Caregivers can help by creating gentle daily routines, introducing low-pressure activities, and approaching each interaction with patience and empathy. But it's essential to know what you're dealing with. Final thoughts for this section. These early symptoms of FTD can be incredibly subtle at first, but over time they paint a much clearer and more alarming picture. What's so tragic is that these changes often go unnoticed until relationships are strained, responsibilities are slipping, and something just feels off. But here's the hopeful truth. Awareness is power. The earlier you recognize the signs, the sooner you can get help, and that can make all the difference in planning care, maintaining dignity, and supporting both the individual and their loved ones. In the next part of this video, we'll continue breaking down the other key early warning signs of FTD and what you can do if someone you love is showing these behaviors. So stick with me, and remember, what may seem like a personality change might be something much more serious. In the first part of this video, we explored how frontotemporal dementia FTD doesn't begin with memory loss like Alzheimer's, but with striking changes in personality, appetite, impulse control, and emotional presence. Now we're going even deeper into the emotional and behavioral signs that often leave families feeling confused, isolated, and overwhelmed. These next symptoms may look like rudeness or rebellion on the surface, but in reality, they're the heartbreaking fingerprints of a brain in distress. Let's walk through them together. 6. Loss of empathy. Perhaps one of the most painful signs of FTD is a profound loss of empathy. Imagine someone who used to comfort you in times of sadness now sitting stone-faced when you cry, or worse, laughing during a moment of tragedy. It's as if the emotional connection that once held your relationship together has been quietly severed. This isn't someone becoming cold or heartless on purpose. They're not trying to be cruel. FTD damages the parts of the brain that allow us to read emotions, to feel concern, and to understand when someone else is hurting. So they may stop offering comfort, miss emotional cues, or respond inappropriately in serious situations. For families, this can be devastating. You may feel alone, rejected, or like you're living with a stranger. But here's something vital to hold on to. This is the disease talking, not the person you love. Seeking out a support group, learning new communication strategies, and connecting with others facing the same struggles can help ease the loneliness. And remember, while they may not respond the way they used to, your care still matters. It always has. It always will. 7. Lack of self-awareness. One of the most frustrating aspects of FTD is that the person affected often has no idea anything is wrong. Unlike Alzheimer's patients, who may be aware that their memory is slipping, Those with FTD typically don't recognize their behavioral or cognitive changes at all. They may genuinely believe everything is fine, even as their actions become more erratic or concerning. This lack of insight can make it incredibly hard to convince them to see a doctor, let alone acknowledge that something needs attention. So, what can you do? Start by avoiding confrontation. Arguing rarely leads to clarity, it often leads to resistance. Instead, try a softer approach. Frame appointments as routine health checkups, or a chance to talk to a specialist just to be sure everything's okay. A calm, supportive tone can open doors that pressure alone never will. Patience is your greatest ally here. You're not just managing behavior, you're protecting trust. 8. Socially inappropriate behavior. As FTD progresses, the internal filter that most of us use to navigate social situations starts to disappear. Things we'd normally never say or do begin to surface without hesitation or awareness. A once polite person may now blurt out offensive comments, violate personal space, or behave in ways that feel completely out of line in public. These moments can be embarrassing, even shocking, especially for caregivers caught off guard in social settings. You may find yourself constantly explaining or apologizing for things your loved one said or did. But here's something important to remember. These actions aren't intentional. They are symptoms of a brain that's lost its social compass. You don't have to handle this alone. Working with dementia specialists can help you better manage these difficult situations. And just as importantly, educating friends and family about FTD can create a more compassionate support system, one that replaces judgment with understanding. 9. Unusual repetitive behaviors. Many people with FTD develop strange, repetitive routines that may seem meaningless or obsessive to others. They might insist on walking the same route every day, constantly rearrange items, or insist on eating food in a very specific order. These behaviors aren't just quirks, they're often a response to a world that no longer makes sense to them. These rituals bring a sense of control and predictability in the face of confusion. Trying to stop or interrupt these habits can actually lead to agitation or distress. Instead, the best course is to ensure their environment is safe and allow these routines to continue if they're not harmful. It's a small compromise that can bring peace to everyone involved. 10. Language problems. Communication is one of the first areas affected by FTD, and for families watching a loved one struggle to speak can be deeply unsettling. At first, the person might have trouble finding the right words. They may use vague terms like thing or stuff, or mix up the names of common objects. Over time, their sentences may become repetitive, fragmented, or nonsensical. Some people begin echoing what others say, while others may repeat the same phrase over and over. Eventually, speech may fade altogether. The silence can feel heavy, but it's not the end of connection. There are still ways to reach them. Using pictures, gestures, or simply speaking in a slow, clear, and calm tone can make a big difference. A speech therapist can also provide techniques to help preserve communication skills for as long as possible. Even when words fade, presence still speaks. What should you do if you notice these signs? If you've recognized any of these symptoms in yourself, a partner, a parent, or a friend, don't wait. Getting an early diagnosis of frontotemporal dementia can open doors to better treatment options, more effective planning, and access to vital support resources. While there's currently no cure, early action can help preserve quality of life, protect relationships, and prepare everyone involved for what lies ahead with clarity and compassion. Final thoughts. Caring for the caregiver. Caring for someone with FTD is one of the most challenging emotional journeys you can take. It's exhausting physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's why it's absolutely essential to care for yourself too. Lean on your support network. Take regular breaks. Seek out caregiver support groups, whether in person or online. These communities are filled with people who understand what you're going through, and their insights, encouragement, and shared experiences can be a lifeline. Thank you for being here. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need it. You never know how much comfort a little understanding can bring. Drop a comment below if there's a topic you'd like us to cover next. Your voice matters. Stay informed. Stay kind. And above all, stay connected. Because together we can build a world that understands EFT and supports the people living through it.